What's up, everybody? Corey Congilio here. Welcome to my house. And I've been getting a lot of inquiries about an Instagram post I made that showed my new pedal board for 2019. Now, I designed a pedal board that would do anything I needed it to do, whether on stage or in the studio. And at the heart of the pedal board really is the Line6 HX Stomp. And that's a product that's really getting a lot of attention in the guitar community because it does a lot of things. I'm mainly using it for modulation effects, delays, reverbs, and that sort of thing, but I'm taking full advantage of the effects loop that's in it. I'm doing some modulation and things with, an expression pedal, that sort of thing. And I'm using it as a backup rig, too, to take advantage of some of the amp modeling that's in it, too. There's a lot of really fun stuff in it. Right now, I'm going to be plugging this pedal board into my 67 Fender Princeton Reverb, and that's going to go into my Universal Audio aux for my cabinets and my monitoring and that sort of thing. So that's what you're going to be hearing. It's a really, really great setup altogether. I'm going to take you through every aspect of the board and what went through my process of putting it together. We'll start with the drives and signal path, and then we'll talk about how the HX Stomp from Line6 is really, like I said, an extremely integral part of this pedal board. Okay, let's check it out. All right, so let's have a look at the board. The first thing I want to talk about is why I designed the board the way I did. Now, I'll be touring with country artist David Lee Murphy, and if you're not familiar with him, he's written loads of big songs for Kenny Chesney, Jake Owen, Josh Thompson, Blake Shelton, and more. We'll be touring with Kenny Chesney a lot, which is really exciting. And he's just a legend. He's a great writer, a great performer. He lets the band play like a 70s rock band. It's really, really a lot of fun. And there's a lot of guitar playing. And it's really just kind of straight down the middle with a little bit of delay and reverb every once in a while. And you'd think to yourself, well, why do you need the HX Stomp and all this stuff? Well, I kind of like to go deep and try to get, tones that are really, sort of complementary to the gig as often as possible. But first, we'll talk about the signal path and how the board was wired. The folks at Exact Tone Solutions, or XTS here in Nashville, they always do amazing work on my pedal boards, and there's nothing they can't do. If you bring them a problem or a question, they have an answer and a solution. They have a little custom interface on the side of the board that I will plug into for my in and out. It's just mono for right now, not stereo operation. And the first thing it hits here is the Vibe Machine. The Vibe Machine is this incredible pedal from Drybell that does, basically a univibe, and it's I think the best one out there, or one of the best. So it's real subtle right now on the vibrato. This isn't a sound I use all the time, but I've always wanted to have a vibrato on my board. And I really like to have it in the early part of the chain, or first. And of course we can get it to do the univibe thing too. So it does a really killer job at what you'd think it would do. It's an amazing pedal. It really sounds great, really does all of the things sonically you'd expect. Next, what's going to happen is it goes to the compressor, and in this case, it's the new, for 2019, JHS Tighty Whitey. A guy came up to me the other day at a show, and he's like, "Oh man, I've never seen a pedal with underwear on it before." And well, it does more than that. It's a really great little compressor. A lot of these great pedal companies are making incredible sounding pedals in small packages. I was a non-believer at first, but now they're squeezing it in there and it sounds great. So I'm just using that as my clean tone right there. Kick it in. Now you're going to say, well, I don't hear much of a difference. Well, for the gig I'm playing right now, I'm only using it to grab like higher notes with gain and the occasional power chord sustain too. This thing can get really squeezy pretty quickly. Really sounds great. Now I'll show you some other ways that I like to use it too, particularly if we move on to what's, I think it's the volume pedal is next in the chain. And then we go to the, yeah, it looks that way. Yep, right to the Greer Lightspeed. Now, if you haven't checked out Greer amps and effects, you have to do it. I don't know what Nick is doing, but these pedals feel like you're turning amplifiers up. It's a really, really cool thing. The Lightspeed, I own 2 of them. You might be able to see my little studio board over there. They're easily as popular as any other sort of famous Nashville pedal. It is certainly infringed on the foot space of Nobles and ODR1. So here's the Lightspeed. The test I would always do, I would turn the drive down. I would turn it down to such a point where you almost couldn't tell a difference. And if a pedal did that for me, then I knew it was really worth it. All right. So if I threw that on with the compressor, that's what I'm looking for. I want long chords that we play over the bar lines to really sustain and have a full sound all the way to the end of the measure. Particularly in a session, if I'm doing that, I don't want too much. That's why a nice 1176 type compression is fun on guitar, because it just kind of holds your chord out a little bit longer without you having to add more gain. Now it's going to look like that I'm going into this GE7 EQ. Now this has been modded by Exact Tone Solutions to be a little bit more guitar frequency friendly. I'll get to that in a second, but the Lightspeed then goes actually to this new Nobles ODR Mini. Now this is a fun pedal. You probably know a little bit about the lore and the appeal of vintage Nobles ODR ones. I have a couple of them. One of them is right there, another one's on the board there. And if you don't get them rehoused, they will break down eventually, and they all sound different too, which is really crazy. The vintage ones, who knows how much signal has gone through these pedals over the years to really make these caps and resistors kind of move, and I don't know what happens to them on the inside, but I know I have 2 of those, and they both sound different from each other. Not drastically, but enough to notice. So this Nobles ODR Mini, when it came out, was really intriguing because I wanted something that was easily replaceable. I think they're $80 street, and they run on 9 or 18 volts. And I can tell you that on 18 volts out of the box, it sounds really, really good. Now, again, back to XTS in Nashville, they do a little mod to it to tighten the bass up. And I've had that done on this one too, so let's hear it. It's pretty darn close to my ear. Now what I will often do is, if that's not enough, I'll throw the Lightspeed on with it and it'll stack. Okay, so that's not enough gain for me, because here's what I like to do. I like to have a mid-drive pedal. I like to have a lighter drive pedal. And I like to have stuff that's touch responsive. And you're also saying to yourself, hey, where's that volume pedal? Why is it first? Don't you want to put it last? Well, sometimes what I like to do is, if I'm going for that big stacked sound, pull the volume pedal back. And as I ramp it up, you'll start to hear that the gain starts to increase. It's like having a lot of options. And I'd rather have more gain options than anything on my pedal board. But what I do like to do is add some more of that lead saturation. I can do that with the Super Cobra from Greer as well. Now let me stack that with the Lightspeed. When I met Nick Greer at the NAMM show a couple years ago, I said, I want to add more gain to a Lightspeed. He said, try this one, it works really, really well. So if the Super Cobra by itself, it has this mid-position switch, or this middle switch that changes the clipping style in there, or the op-amp distortion, whatever they call it. I did a video, it's on my YouTube channel, of that, and I go through the styles and I play a little Latin rock tune. It's pretty cool. But you can go from sort of a Marshall-y type thing to a Dumble type thing to a real wide open sort of sound. Let me do it now. So as I go through the switch, listen to the highs. It compresses different. You're not going to notice too much in this video, but you will hear it and feel it when you play it. And especially when you stack it with other stuff. So here it is stacked with the Lightspeed. What happens if you put all three on? All right, let me show you. Yeah. So now let's move on to a new pedal that's, well, new to me, frankly. And I've never really understood the whole Echoplex thing. I never had an EP booster or anything like that. But everybody's been saying, you know, you had all my guitar buddies, they've been saying, you got to check out the Secret Preamp from Chase Tone. And I started to do a little research, and I do remember playing a few Echoplexes recently, within the past few weeks even, where I was like, oh, this does add something. So the Secret Preamp has 3 of the Echoplex circuits in it, and you can choose between a bright, a dark, and a mid. And I have it on the bright right now. Take it off. I'll try to get a little more unity gain here. It's a little boosted. So you can hear with it on, it brings out more harmonics in the tone. It kind of brings everything to the front a little bit more. And I had it pushed a little too much there, but I try to get it pretty close to unity, just maybe over the edge a little bit. And it also acts as a nice buffer too. So that's why I have it after all these drives that it's going through. So that's a fun thing that stays on all the time. And depending on the night and the gig, I will move that switch on there between those settings. I've been in situations where I'm like, it sounds too bright, let me warm it up, vice versa, and that sort of thing. You know, so that is the drives, the comp, the volume, the vibe machine, and the Secret Preamp. Let's take a little pause and move over to more of the fun stuff that's going to happen here with the HX Stomp, the Ventris reverb, how I'm paging through some presets and using the disaster area DMC micro. That's even more fun. All right, stay tuned. All right, so let's jump into the HX Stomp and how I'm using that in the Ventris reverb for my modulation, delays, reverbs, and we'll talk about how I'm paging through a couple things with the DMC micro from disaster area. I'm also using a Dunlop mini volume expression pedal to do a few things as well. All right, so let's talk about my basic tone here. Now I'm going to leave the Greer Lightspeed on to give me some of that just regular great warm buttery overdrive that Nick makes. And I'm going to put that on with my preset 35A here called DLM Basic 1. Now this is a preset I'm going to use for most of the songs with David Lee Murphy. It's a really straight ahead tone. It's essentially a slap reverb, a slap delay, slap echo, a long delay that I can turn on or off, a tremolo, and then what I'm using is the Ventris reverb in the effects loop of the HX Stomp because I want to use some of its reverbs. The reverbs in the HX Stomp are great and I will use them from time to time, but what's really cool is you can have this plugged in, make the effect block for the effects loop work or turn it off if you want in a different preset so you're never running through it. It's brilliant. It's such a great idea. Kind of like a loop. You know, it's called an effects loop for a reason, I guess, right? So I'm going to turn, that's on. And that's kind of what we're hearing. So let's go to our view here and see our chain. And you can see that there's my tape echo. Just give me a little slap. And I'm going to turn on the long delay. And then the light blue block here is the effects loop. And I can turn that reverb off. And you can see it goes away. And I can turn the tremolo on here. I'm kind of a tremolo snob. I don't like digital ones, but this one does a really good job. And the thing I love about it is that I can put it in a block after the reverb, like how a Fender amp circuit would be. Like a Fender amp circuit, you know, like a Princeton that I'm playing through, would have reverb then tremolo. So what's cool is when you're really diming everything, you can hear the reverb actually kind of warble into the tremolo, or out of the tremolo, I guess it would be. Yeah. I have the modulation set up here, or the speed, I should say. Now, one of the things I've done is if you go to, let's go back to the tremolo, you'll watch my speed, if you can see it here on this. It's kind of hard to get this view properly. But it only goes from about 3 hertz to 9 hertz. And what I did was when I made this patch, I took my Princeton and I turned it all the way down with the intensity up to see that speed. And that was pretty close. And then I turned it all the way up. And that's about as fast as it would go. So I went in and edited it as such, so it didn't go from like 0 to nothing. The folks at XTS said I had it programmed to 0, and it was going so slow that the signal was actually dropping and then coming back. It's pretty funny. So make sure you don't do that. So again, that's a really basic tone, and I can get my delay happening. I can change my verb here on the Ventris. A little longer, I can go to a plate that I have programmed. So I can have fun with that for days already. In this Ventris, I even monkeyed around with, you know, one of their more like sort of symphonic-y things. I don't like to go too crazy with that nowadays, just because you can hear it a mile away and somebody goes, "I know what that is." It's like I'm trying to use that stuff only sparingly. You know, very few songs will allow for that. And it used to be the thing where you could put that on a song in a session and the producer would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." But I've heard it now 100 times thanks to some other companies that do that very well. Okay, so the biggest hurdle I had with the HX Stomp was trying to navigate presets and do stomp box mode as well. And I won't tell you that I've got it licked. I've gotten it pretty close, and the folks at Disaster Area might be able to help me out with this as well. And I'm hoping they can at some point. I'm so close. I'm a MIDI-it. I don't know very much about MIDI. This is the first sort of MIDI thing I've ever had. And it's a silly little 2-button thing. It's not silly, it's very powerful. No disrespect to Disaster Area. You're making great stuff. But I have it in what's called utility mode. So you can set these switches up to do a number of things. And what I've done is I've set it up to go through all of the different modes in the stomp. So that is basically giving me 3 presets there, 35, A, B, and C. That will give me preset up and down. That'll give me stomp box mode, and then that's snapshot mode. So what I'd like to do is eliminate snapshot mode from the equation. I think I can do it. I'm on a time crunch and I had to put this board together quickly. So what I'll do is if I'm here in the stomp box mode, I know that I can go to 2 switches up, and then it'll give me 35, 35 A, B, and C. And then what I can do is if I want to go to the next bank, I can hit those, and I'll be 36 A, B, and C there. So that's one option, and I'm happy with that. Let me go back up. So there I am where I started at 35A. Now what I can do is I can go into preset mode, and what I'm going to do is once the tour has consistency of set lists, I'll go into preset mode here and probably just bang through them like that. And then if I have to go to stomp box mode, I'm only 1 away, which is nice. But I'll probably continue to just do my mode there where I'm go 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. I just know it's two clicks and I'm right where I need to be. So let me go back to another sound and I'll bank down and I'll grab him. There we go. And then we'll go to stomp box mode again. Now what I can do is I kind of gave myself a way out here if I need these switches to do something else. We know that we can hold the tuner here, and if you have done the update, you know that you get this great strobe tuner. And that's like the simple strobe. I think there's even a more advanced one in there as well. I'm kind of a newbie to the HX Stomp, but I always feel like I have a way of describing things that is practical for the average player, because I like to think to myself as that as well, because I'm just putting as much on here as I can to get the job done. There's my 2 cents. So we know we have to get out of the tuner. We can hit that button, get us back out. I can also hit the tuner here if I want, which is nice if I don't want to do that. I just programmed it as such kind of because I could. Again, we can get out. And this is also a tap tempo here. So there you go. I can do tap, I can do tuner. I'm sure I could do a bunch of other things with that as well. When the need comes up, I'll do it. But for now, it's working pretty well. David Lee has a song called The Road You Leave Behind. This isn't the slide I would normally use. I don't know where it's at. But I have to play slide on that song, and it's... So I wanted some more of that pedal steel type stuff. I took the Ventris reverb out of the situation here, and that's all you're hearing is a plate. So that's one tone. Then we'll go to a song that starts with tremolo. And what's great about the HX Stomp is that you can program each patch to be the BPM you need it to be. I was working with another device that would not allow you to do that, and it drove me nuts. But I can go 2 clicks, boom, there I am. It starts with tremolo, the song starts with tremolo. And it's a subtle tremolo. I can get in there and gas it up a little bit if I need to. We'll find out on the gig. It may need more, and I'll just get in there and tweak and save it. But then what happens is I play a solo on that, so I'll pull the tremolo out. I'll go to this dynamic delay setting, and the dynamic delay is that delay that Line6 came up with years ago that kind of ducks. You know, it's a ducking delay. I really love the dynamic delay in this setting because it ducks basically, and it stays low while you play, and you can adjust the the threshold of that and everything. It's a really cool delay that won't start to regenerate until you stop playing. that's a really cool thing to do when you're using a sound like that, is to kind of play sounds that are longer, or maybe have an abrupt stop, and then that delay will come right afterwards. But all the while, it's still kind of being suppressed while you're playing your normal sort of faster. And then it comes in. It's really, really fun. All right, let's take a look at another tone. Okay, so in this tone, I'm trying to give a little faux 12-string effect to the HX Stomp here. So I'm using the simple pitch filter, and I'm trying to just add the top octave, kind of what you might do with a POG, but this thing really works well. It does a pretty good job. My favorite one of all is the Digitech Mosaic, but I couldn't stick that on this board. I just didn't have enough space, particularly for 1 or 2 songs. But man, that one sounds good. But this one sounds good too. And you hear there's just a glimmer of that high octave there. I don't like to do too much. But again, it's basically that same brass tacks tone that I'll use. Maybe throw a little delay on there. All right, let's go back to my basic tone again. It's called CC tone, and it's the same thing we did before: slap echo, delay, reverb, trem, and that sort of thing. So when we go to our preset mode, again, it'll look like that. My trem, my delay, there you go. Now, one of the things I want to do though is, let's say I want to take that, what I always do is I'll then copy that to something different. Maybe I want that same layout, but I want the modulation different. So now what I'm going to do is have a little Leslie action happening. And you guessed it, I changed the ramp, or I added the ramp to the expression pedal. So that's the 122 Leslie sound there, and I've added the slow and fast ramp to the expression pedal. And here it is fast. And it ramps up nicely. Also great for, lots of fun there too. There's so many effects in here, and I haven't gotten around to programming all of my custom patches. But if I wanted a little chorus, I could do that too. Again, what I would do is take my bass setting, throw a little chorus on. I programmed the modulation to do the depth. Yeah. Let's throw the compressor on and really get into chorus land here. Well, thanks for checking out this video of my 2019 pedal board. A lot of my Instagram followers have been asking about it, and I hope you dug this video. The HX Stomp is at the heart of it, but really, a lot of these great companies are making this tone so wonderful. Source Audio, Greer, Exact Tone Solutions, of course, for the board, Nobles, JHS, Chase Tone, Drybell, And Pedal Train, I'm using a Pedal Train board, and True Tone is powering this entire board. It's a CS12 that I'm using. So go support all those companies. And if you want to follow me more online, the links are below. You can study guitar with me as well. I have over 15 guitar courses available, ranging from blues, rock, country, and acoustic music. I mean, I do a lot of stuff, but I really want to help you achieve your guitar playing goals. I have a number of ways that you can study with me, so drop me a line and we can talk about it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the button so that you get alerts of when I put out a new video, and share it, like it, tell your friends about it. Okay, and if you got any questions or things you want to see in a video, put them in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.